Welcome back to Iowa Live. Lou and Michelle here. You know, a lot of people are diving into spring break. Some schools are even in spring break already.
Before we know it, I know. A lot of people, it's happening here in the next couple of weeks. And here to give us some ideas on what we can do as a family and with our kids, we have Michael Moraine with the State Historical Museum, as well as Jennifer Cooley, who's the Museum Education and Outreach Manager. Thank you guys for coming in. It's always fun to hear what you guys have going on down there, especially with spring break upon us for us. In Van Meter, it's next week, so we're looking for some things to kind of get out and do for those of us who are staying close to home.
Well, we have some ideas.
Okay.
Just a reminder, the State Historical Museum is just across the street from the state capitol. It's that big boxy striped granite building, and admission is free all of the time. So even if you have a spare half hour, 20 minutes, bring the kids down, or if you just have a lunch break, come and learn something about Iowa history. There are tons of stories to see and do. But for spring break, and our official bookends start this Friday through the following Saturday. We have extra activities and some bonus activities in addition to just our open exhibits and all of that. So for lifelong learners of all ages, we have things to see and do at the State Historical Museum.
All right, Jennifer, for example, what kind of things can we check out?
Well, we have a new pop-up exhibit that's being debuted today, and it's all about fun and games that Iowans have explored over the years. 6-on-6 girls basketball uniforms. We've also got some coloring books, some music, got an old Walkman. Some people may remember Walkman. So we've got those in our collection as well.
Of those still
exactly.
Somewhere.
So that exhibit is going up today, this afternoon. And then we have creation stations throughout the museum as well, starting on Friday. And that way, kids and families are able to experience games that have a historical tie to them. Fun fact, Candyland was invented for kids with polio so that they could play a game while they were
I didn't realize that.
So we've got games like Old Maid and that sort of thing that kids and families can play with throughout the museum. And then we have a whole host of other programs that are coming up throughout the week as well. On Saturday, we have Phil Dixon, who is a baseball historian, talking about the Negro Baseball Leagues. And then in the morning, we're showing A League of Their Own for families as well.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, you see some of the things that are coming up over the next several days. Again, 14th is Saturday, so just use that as a gauge for the rest of the things that are going through here. The Vault Tour has got to be pretty cool, Michael.
It is. It's really like a huge organized attic, like your great-grandparents' or grandparents' attic, and it is sprawling. The museum takes up one city block. So down in our basement, in climate-controlled storage, we just have thousands, literally thousands of artifacts that tell the story of Iowa. One of my favorite aisles is the aisle of phones. So you can see the evolution of phones. So we have a 100-year-old phone back when it was a big wooden box. Up to a BlackBerry. Soon we will be getting an iPhone. And those kinds of things are interesting for visitors of different ages who remember growing up with different versions of that phone. For me, when I see an iPhone in the museum, I think, oof, gosh.
You know you're getting old. But see, you brought up the phone on the day that it was Watson, come here. Come here. I want to see you. This is the day that happened. Well, that's perfect timing.
Perfect.
One more reason to come.
Yeah. So now, for the things that are happening that we saw listed, do they need to register for those, or are they things that they can just kind of pop in? How does that process work?
It's kind of both. There are things to do if you wake up in the morning and you have a last minute plan and you want to come. There are things to see and do. For some of the activities, we do encourage people to register online, so we have a good sense of how many people are coming, how many supplies we need, all of that. All of that information is at iowaculture.gov. You can see the full schedule and see which things need a pre-registration and which things you can just pop in.
Okay.
All right, so spring break, you have plenty of activities going on for spring break, but what about the summer? Because you have to start looking ahead a little bit too, though, right?
Yeah, we have two programs, and Jennifer is really the expert on this.
Sure, we have two programs, camps for kids. One is called Young Writers Workshop. It's a week-long workshop where we bring in an award-winning young adult author to come and work with students over the week. They pick an object from the museum collection to write historical fiction about, but they have to do historical research, place it in a time period, and then at the end of the week, the students then read their piece to their friends and their family.
Really?
Wow,
So
what a great experience.
It's a fantastic experience. And then we've got a new camp this year, a day camp called Junior Curator Day Camp. And students come in for a day, they work with objects that we've pulled, they write labels for them, they do research, they put them together in an exhibit setting. And then at the end of the day camp, the parents and families can come in and see their exhibit and how they created that. So it's essentially being a curator for a day.
So you are creating an exhibit.
Exactly.
That is really cool.
Exactly.
Isn't
Very
it?
nice. Yeah. So we noticed you have your white gloves with you.
I
and
do.
You have a couple of items here. Let's
Yes.
talk about what you brought in here today.
So this ties back to our History Mystery Drop-In, which happens next Friday.
History Mystery Drop-In.
Yes,
Okay.
and so you could tell by the title that we don't give people any context for the objects. You have to try to figure it out on your own. So you can start by looking at this object here. You can think about what it might be made out of, the function that it might have served. You can notice I'm hanging onto it by this hook in the back.
Right, and I notice you have gloves on. Explain why you
Yes.
have gloves on.
Exactly. So even though you think your hands are clean, they're not. You still have oils and things like of that nature. So an item like this is already old, and so the job of the museum is to keep it in the best shape possible. So whenever we touch objects, we don't touch them with bare hands. We always wear gloves, and so that way none of our oils are transferred between the objects, because we want to keep these objects in great condition for the next 100, 200 years for the future to be able to enjoy them as well.
I'm just looking at that thing, trying to figure out what in the world it is, and it looks
It has
like
is that a little wheel on the inside there?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a little bit of wheel to it.
Okay.
Okay.
You can think about, I'll give you a hint, this would have been used underground.
Okay, I mean, it looks like a light more than anything else, and it looks like on the top there's an area that you might be able to flip open. Does that flip open that area there? And
Yep.
maybe some kerosene or some type of fuel that
Yes.
would go in there,
Right.
and then you'd light it on the front. I'm guessing, and that's where the flame would be.
Yes.
And then that would illuminate the area around there, and that would be your underground candle, like your candle that has
Your old school flashlight.
that has a liquid base.
Right, you have done the whole history mystery. And so this is what a coal miner would have worn
really?
on their hat. And so that's why you've got this little hook right here. It would have hooked on
they put it on their
hat.
hat, okay.
Here's where you would have put water, and then the carbon carbide is at the bottom here.
You put water in there?
Yeah, and so the water would drip down at a predetermined rate into here, and then that would make the flame. And so you could determine how quickly you wanted your water to drip down.
The water or the fuel, you mean?
The water.
Water.
Because water and carbon carbide creates.
Oh, okay, sure, okay.
And so that's when you would get this light. So unlike a traditional light bulb where you have kind of a section of light, this diffuses it over a larger section. And so you're able to see much more easily underground because you don't have a spotlight right where you're looking.
Oh my goodness.
So now then, do you have things to go with this to kind of show it being used, or videos or photography that kind of show it in place then historically?
Yeah, we even have the hats that these sort of lamps
They
will
hook on too?
cool.
All right.
Exactly.
All right, so what's the next thing you have?
Okay, this
next
one
to you
might
here?
be a little bit more challenging.
This
but
one's my favorite.
This looks like if you had a wheel of cheese, okay, Michelle,
Right.
and you wanted a chunk of a wheel of cheese,
This is your
you'd stick
tool.
that in there and like an ice
Gives
cream
you a nice
scooper
blot.
and give you a hunk of cheese.
Okay, so you'll notice that it does have an action.
Okay.
So, so you can see inside here how it
The camera can see
they
that
can see
plunger.
it.
Yeah.
comes in and out, and then so you've got the wooden handle. It's pretty hefty. It's pretty heavy.
Okay, and what does it do?
Well, hint. Let's get a hint.
No,
Give us a
I
hint.
had no idea.
You,
right
you
off
were
is
actually pretty spot on. It's not cheese, it's ice cream.
No, I was going to say it was an ice cream scoop.
You're on the ball today.
Really?
Yes.
So you make an
It's a
ice cream
History Mystery
sandwich.
Drop-in.
Exactly. So yeah, this would have been used so you could have plunged it into ice cream, pulled it out, and then created essentially a square sandwich with your ice cream. So
Brilliant.
spot on for that.
Wow.
Yes.
All right. That is really, and that's just two of the items
Just two.
that you're going to be showing off.
It's,
All right.
it's
we've
designed for your trigger finger too. You can use it for that. It's perfect. It's perfect for you.
All right, let's recap because spring break's coming up one more time. Just things that
Yeah.
are happening over spring break that you can get down there and take part in for free, absolutely
Yes.
free.
Come down to the State Historical Museum across from the Capitol anytime, really, Monday through Saturday.
Okay.
Starting this Friday, March 13th, through the following Saturday, March 21st. We have an extra layer of activities, drop-in stations,
Creation
all kinds of
stations.
activities. If you just pop in, that's great. But we do have some extra activities that you could register for online at
Okay.
iowaculture.gov. You can see the whole schedule there and the whole rundown of events.
Very nice.
I think-
And then don't forget summer. classes.
Yes,
there's
exactly.
two
Sign up for
fabulous
that,
ones.
too.
They're
Sign
up
limited.
for
It looks
those.
like it only takes 12 students or a
Yes.
smaller group. So
Very small
you need to
groups.
get online and get registered for
Yes.
that as well before it gets filled up.
Perfect. Great stuff. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for bringing that over. And again,
Great programs down
the
there
cost of
always.
admission,
It's free.
Zero.
is zero.
Can't beat that.
Take advantage of that
You
and
cannot
enjoy
beat that.
yourself. Thank you so
Exactly.
much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.